think we'll use the super grater this morning, or it's the afternoon. It's Friday, right? It's Friday. We're live here in the Nutmeg Tavern. There's plenty of room. Fire's roaring over there, and there are free tables out there. Come on in is all I'm going to say here. If you're thirsty, you'll have to fight your way to the bar. Maybe somebody will be over to help you soon. I'm your host, John Townsend, and we're going to be talking about fun 18th century stuff today, scary 18th century stuff, maybe sometimes a little stomach churning at times, depending on how sensitive you might be with the topic of primitive medicine, which is what we're going to be practicing today. Lots and lots of primitive medicine. I am joined here as somebody, some people might refer to him as a co-host. He's definitely the barkeep and the people who keep the bouncer. So if you're troublesome, he will bounce you out of here. It's Ryan.
Hello.
There
Good
he
to
is.
be here.
There he is. He forgot his glasses, so he's gonna be he's gonna be blind back there. This wouldn't be possible unless someone was on the other side of the time vortex in whatever world and time-space continuum you happen to be in, working the controls, because we're here in the 18th century and we don't have them. That person would be Aaron.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. Thank you for being here.
There he is.
It's been a good Friday.
Yeah.
It really has.
Yeah. It's a productive week. We got lots of videos shot and other things done. You all right there?
Yeah, I was just washing some dishes.
Just throws them out the window. Anyway, so much stuff. Today's show is packed to the gills. I doubt I'll be able to get through it all, but we're going to do it anyway. Maybe I'll just talk a little faster today. Had a great, hilarious email that came in. Greetings. Perhaps this is the strangest email I've ever composed, but I wanted to reach out and let you know that your videos have been an incredible source of comfort for my 17-year-old cat. A few weeks ago, I discovered your YouTube channel, started exploring my way through the amazing content, and they're probably not gotten through all of it yet. While navigating my way through your extensive video library, I noticed an interesting phenomenon with my elderly cat. Biggie, the cat's name, is 17 years old and recently going through some serious health issues. Every time I would start one of your videos, he would reposition himself on his bed to be able to see the screen better. He was very attentive of what was happening on the screen and seemed to be enjoying himself. When the video stopped or I switched to a different channel, he would disengage and become somewhat listless. I conducted an experiment over the course of a few days, and it was very clear that it was specifically your content he was interested in. His vet and I discussed this at length. We don't know if it's John's voice, the music, the visuals, the combination of all that intrigue him, but Biggie is an old 18th century soul taking his turn around this lifetime in the form of a cat. Every day before I leave for work, I build him an 8-hour playlist made from a variety of your videos. He seems so much more cheerful each day, even though he is still battling health issues. And they thank me for all that. And of course, he's going through surgery on the 7th, so keep him in your thoughts there. I'm going to make sure he's got a relaxing playlist to get him through recovery. Thanks again from the absolute bottom of my heart. That's Autumn and Biggie the cat. You can show Biggie the cat on the screen. There's Biggie the cat, probably enjoying one of my videos as we sit.
Yeah, if Biggie's watching,
yes,
let
Biggie.
us know. Oh. I don't know much about Biggie, but he has a great taste in
Could be
videos.
Biggie's watching himself now.
Oh,
wouldn't that be?
That'd be crazy.
Wouldn't that be funny?
There should be a YouTube account created for Biggie the cat.
Yep, Biggie the cat.
That's right. So
we love you, Biggie.
We love you, Biggie. Hope your surgery goes well. That's all we can say. Because we don't want to miss you here in the Nutmeg Tavern.
Apparently, he's the #1 viewer. All that watch time.
He's the guy. He's the guy.
We've been waiting to meet them for a long time.
We should have a special cat playlist.
Yeah,
just
for Biggie's playlist.
Yes, Biggie's.
We should do that.
Biggie's playlist.
No dogs allowed.
No, not a one. I think Sophie and Biggie would be friends. I'd like to think that.
Probably they would.
Well, Sophie likes to play with cats. At least she wants to.
People are
Does
saying
she like to
that
play the way that cats want to play? That's the question.
Biggie looks good for 17, and I agree. I didn't realize it was that old.
Right, right. And probably have a long life because of watching our videos.
Oh, yeah.
If we can figure that out as some sort of feline medicine,
Right.
and prescribe it,
Right.
that'd be really good for the world and for us.
And I mean, other medicines like could be bad for your liver or your kidneys, but not watching our videos. Okay, next up, let's see. Let's get into the topic, and we'll cover. Oh wait, let me get this real quick. Calendars. People have been asking about calendars. And we've done calendars in the past. There I am with the giant salted fish. Well, it's fish with the salt on it. But you know, there's the beef vinaigrette. There's the, I don't know what those are. Something, potato cakes. Anyway, it's a calendar. I know we're halfway through 2022. I can't help that. Blame the paper manufacturers. Don't blame us because we were working on it. Well, Ryan was working on it, and then we had problems and so. But now they're here. If you want a calendar, you have to get it from the website. So you can order it. You can get it with by itself. You don't have to pay the postage. You can get it along with other items, maybe things we will mention later on in the live stream. Calendars. So.
All right, let's catch up on some Super Chat stuff real quick.
Yep.
MD Smith 702, happy Friday. Loved this week's beer, cheese, and bread breakfast video.
I did too. It was a good breakfast.
Thank you. Max R. Cool says, a visit to the Nutmeg Tavern was the medicine I needed today.
Oh, yeah.
Speed and Style Tony's on Super Chat. Perfect subject, as I am sick in bed today. So glad we have modern drugs.
Yes. Well, hopefully this broadcast will do you as much good as it does Biggie. Are we good? Let's jump into
We're
it.
so good.
Let's jump into 17th and 18th century medicine. Today, I'm going to be using a couple different resources. Number one, The Complete Bone Setter, one of the books that we offer. This was, as it says here, being a method of curing broken bones, dislocated joints, and ruptures, commonly called broken bellies. This was originally written by Friar Moulton and Englished. I love that. It's been Englishized, Englished and enlarged by Robert Turner, MD, 1665. So he Englished it for us because it was in Latin, thankfully. And we will also be touching on Every Man His Own Physician. This is a wonderful work done by John Theobald, MD, and this one is from 1756. So if you were in the marketplace, maybe you were somebody who couldn't afford to visit a doctor, you can purchase this small pamphlet in which is described almost every distemper and its cure.
I'm going to jump in and read the Super Chat real quick. So this is medical advice for the cat, not from Townsends, but from Greg.
Okay.
Soup Kitchen Phillips. A tiny amount of turmeric in the cat's last meal prior to surgery is an amazing antiseptic and anti-inflammatory.
Amazing.
Thank you, Greg.
I think that's probably in one of these books, but good job,
If
Greg.
it's in one of those books, then don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm going to be talking about 17th and 18th century medical advice here. I am not a physician, nor do I play one on television. So do not take this as medical advice for yourself or your loved ones. Okay. We will also be looking at a little bit of artwork, and if you want more and a modern take on what 18th century medicine was like, 17th and 18th century medicine, I do recommend The Age of Agony. I don't have a link for that necessarily, but you will find it. Probably it's in print on Amazon. An excellent book by Guy Williams covering medicine of the 18th century. It's got a 19th century brother to it called The Age of Miracles, as opposed to The Age of Agony, which is the 18th century. And we'll find out why it's the Age of Agony as we get into the Complete Bone Setter. So, complete bone setter. I like this little beginning piece.
Yeah, someone said this is disclaimer time.
Yeah, disclaimer time. This is the beginning of the bone setter. Now, the bone setter isn't just, this bone setter book isn't just about setting bones. It also has many recipes for medicine, and there's a section all about the oculist enlarged. So taking care of eye diseases and eye problems. And there is a section toward the back that has to do with, where is it? This is a section on aches, migraines, and other diseases in the head, which we all have here from time to time. And I think there's even another section at the end. Yes, judging urines. When you want to truly understand what disease you have, you probably want to inspect your urine properly, and that will help you. So this is
the Tainted brain?
I don't think, well, there's going to be some brain stuff in here. But here we go, the complete bone setter. This is the beginning part. Okay, so it's like, for the better initiation of our student into this curious practice and operation, bone setting that is, I thought it good to instruct him in the anatomical parts of those members subject to fractures and dislocations, which it's always nice if you're going to be setting bones to have some idea of anatomy. Which are the shoulders, arms, hands, fingers, hip, thigh, knees, legs, ankles, feet, and toes. These I shall particularly describe unto you, in case you aren't familiar, omitting to speak anything of the neck and vertebra. For if they be luxated or dislocated, he that effects the cure exit onibi mangus Apollo. In other words, probably something like, you have to be godlike to fix something like that. These items that we talked about here are called limbs or joints. And they grow unto the body as boughs unto the body of a tree. These may be divided into two kinds, the upper limbs and the lower limbs. Obviously, the upper joints are from the shoulder to the fingers and are called by the ancients by one only name, the name vis-a-vis the hand. So everything above the waist is called the hand. For they account the whole member from the shoulder to the fingers ends to be all the hand. The lower joints they call pedes, or that is the feet. So everything below the waist, that's the feet. Everything above is the hands. Well, that's helpful, isn't it? He goes on to describe arms and shoulder blades and the cubit, which I think he's talking about the hand there, wrists and all that good stuff. So, I mean, if you really need to understand your anatomy, this will go through and really give you what you need to know. So
I feel like I already get it.
I know.
Hands, feet. I can set bones now.
That's right, exactly. There is a whole section on getting the bones together into the right spot. So, you know, you got this broken bone, and it talks about being, you know, it's like you stretch it out a little bit, and you kind of align them, and you put them back together. Doesn't sound good or helpful, but it's like, don't stretch it too far, because that can be really painful. I'm sure it's like already excruciating. Where was the part here where it talks about getting these things together? And I'm thinking of the eyeball section. Wait, that's better. But actually, the setting of the bones didn't sound too crazy. So yeah, you try to get them into the right position again. You put a poultice on it, and there's some sort of poultice descriptions or recipes, and then you wrap it, not too tight and not too loose. You don't want it to move, and then you put splints around that. Because of course they don't have anything like casts or the Basra method, something that comes in the 19th century. So in the 18th century, it's a bit more primitive. But of course, even now, you don't see as many casts now. Mostly they put them into, you know, sort of soft casts and things like that. So medicine, it's always morphing and changing, isn't it? Setting broken bones. Yeah, so you mix some, so if you're doing this, this wrap, you mix some oil of roses and the whites of eggs together, dip therein a soft linen cloth, and lay it all over the place that it may compass it all about, above and below, and then roll up the member, but not too hard, so as to compress it and draw the humors, causing inflammation therein. So they're concerned about inflammation. Nor too slack that the broken bones separate again. But always remember to that in measure to resteth virtue. I don't know what he means by that. Not very helpful when you can't figure out what the person's talking about. Now I'm wondering whether the cloth with the egg white and the oil of roses is meant to sort of lock up as a bit like a glue. But then it says, so I think that's just a cloth that goes over it. And the rollers, the sort of bandage that's going around it. Wet the rollers well in water and wine before you use them. If it please be much afflicted with any vehement pain or inflammation. So then you ought, if it is, then you ought to wrap it well with fine wool or tow well carded. So that's like a fiber. So there's a, it really seems like they have some pretty good advice here. Then they want the person to not move for a great period of time. So let the splints remain on and unopened for 12 or 15 days. But if, on the contrary, any aforementioned accidents happen, you must unroll the member the third day at the furthest and foment and wash the place with warm water and put away the pain and itching. So yeah, like a cast, it's going to stay on a couple weeks. You want to keep that person from moving around, and so it's really some. I think it would work pretty much. There's a bunch of recipes here for things like ruptures. It's like there's a whole section on ruptures, which is not good. And I did want to say on the bone setting, I really don't think they're covering compound fractures here, because that's like I didn't catch any of the compound fracture stuff, but it's like
they didn't have those back then.
Yeah, well, they did. That's just you didn't survive it. So. Yeah, so here's a whole section on ruptures. And none of the rupture stuff has to do with fixing it physically. Well, mostly that. But mostly salves and whatnot. I'm not sure what a salve or a drink or a plaster is going to do for your broken belly, but they've got lots of them in here. Here's a plaster for the rupture. Take cypress nuts, 2 ounces, myrrh, cypress roots, majorum gentle, galls, juice of sloes, frankincense, and gum, each 1 ounce. Dissolve the gum in wine, then temper the rest among it, and thereof make a plaster and lay it upon the rupture. Nothing else. I mean, you feel like something's happening. Yeah, lots of good rupture stuff. Did you want to jump in, Ryan?
I can.
It's up to you.
I certainly wasn't.
I can just keep going. Here we go. Okay, I'm going. We're not going to start. Here's a good drink for rupture. Rosemary, 1/2 ounce. Cinnamon, 1/2 dram. Balm flowers, ginger, borage, nutmegs. That'll fix you. Of each 1/2 dram. Seed these together in 7 quarts of water till the 4th part be consumed. Then add therein 16 ounces of honey. Then boil it again till the 3rd part be consumed and use it. And that's going to be a good drink probably for anything, but ruptures too. The Perfect Oculus enlarged. So perfect here probably means all-encompassing. So all the eye medicine you will probably ever need. The author first beginneth with 6 precious waters, profitable both for the eyes and other things, which he thus sets down. For to tell of 6 precious waters made and sent to a queen that sometime was in England. So we don't even know what queen this was that got these recipes or the water itself. The first water is this. Take fennel, rue, vervain, endive, betony, germander, red roses, and maidenhair, each 1 ounce. Stamp them, steep them in white wine a day and a night, and distill the water of them. This water shall depart in 3, that is, you shall draw 3 several waters. The first part ye shall do in a glass by itself, and know ye of a truth, that this water is as precious as gold. The second as silver, and the third part as precious as balm. And keep these 3 parts in glasses. This water shall ye give to the rich for gold, to the mean men for silver, and to the poor men for balm. This water keepeth the eyes in clearness, and avoideth quintery. Whatever quintery is, it says quintery is the matter and gumminess that closeth up the eyes. So if you got gummy eyes, this is the stuff. Ground. I don't know what is it. So quintery and ground. So that's one of those 2 things. And cleareth and sharpen the sight. So I mean, that's probably some pretty good stuff. So that first batch is as good as gold.
So we got a couple super chats here from Deborah Scotland. I finished watching the series on Benjamin Franklin today. It's terrific. Don't miss it. I felt a bit emotional at the end.
Oh, yeah, the one on PBS, yes.
Right. And then Sir Frederick, I still love the one cure for consumption, turpentine and deer dung, along with riding a horse on cool mornings.
That'll cure you.
I don't remember that one, but I'm sure it works.
Cure or kill, one of the 2.
Right. And then there are a few things in the chat. One was, how did they deal with iron and mineral deficiencies in people in the 18th century?
Well, first, they probably didn't realize what was going on. More than likely, you had too much of something, so you'd be poisoned by copper or too much iron or something like that. Deficiencies, they really didn't have any clue what was going on with things like rickets and scurvy, for that matter. So,
another question was, did they wash their hands?
Well, some people did, but not as much as you might want, especially if you were a surgeon. Before I go into, are you?
One more.
Okay.
How were pine trees used in medicinal ways?
Yes, very much so. In fact, cypress was already mentioned, and other resins and whatnot are an important part of medicine in the 18th century. While we're at this mark on the big giant sundial on the wall, let me jump in and get to the brand new Patreon names this week. So every week I try to get to the brand new Patreon supporters. We also have supporters on PayPal and Townsends Plus. So brand new Patreon people, and it's been a busy week in Patreon land. Ann Billman, Forrest Freeman, Wind Cave Wanderer, Disbelev, Alencia Ma, Lee Porter, someone that's just known as Clover, Stephanie Clay, and Aaron Davida. Thank you all much for being brand new Patreon people. Also, we got wonderful supporters in PayPal, which is just kind of a one-shot thing. Dorrit Bergen and Christopher Ford. Christopher Ford seems like he's always in there. Thank you so much, Christopher and Dorrit. And brand new Townsends Plus people. It's been slow on Townsends Plus, and we have a 1-year anniversary for that. We're gonna have to do some special stuff on Townsends Plus.
Yes.
But William Bryce C is brand new on Townsends Plus. Also, Anthony R. So that's the Patreon people. While we're at ways that people support us, what we do on the channel, this is a brand new merch item on the website. Look at that. It's a well, I get really close, but it wouldn't focus. It's a Nutmeg Tavern hat. So if you are kind of a person who is a baseball cap wearing kind of a person.
You just broke the internet.
A baseball cap wearing person, you might enjoy a Nutmeg Tavern hat. Aaron will put the link down in the chat section so you can check it out. And yes, we have one color. That's what we got. So
And a fairly limited supply, so
yeah, so
It's a good color.
If you want, you can have any color as long as it's blue.
And if you are the unlucky person to buy the one that I am taking home with me, I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, standard cool baseball hat. Let's see, what else is there? We covered that. We covered this. Yeah.
Pictures?
Yeah, that's right. Let's jump into pictures before we get too lost in these books.
We ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are they ready?
Well, that's a bigger question. Most of them aren't too gruesome. I'll try to warn you before we get to gruesome.
All right, here we go.
Then you can hide under your bed. 17th century Dutch painting and engraving here. So there are lots of different medical practitioners in the 17th and 18th century. Some of them are rather primitive. This is likely a corn cutter. And this may be a bigger medicine shop. I don't believe so. Corn cutters were itinerant. They would just walk from place to place. They had a cry. In England, it was work if I'd have it. And they would come in and cut your corns for you. I don't know personally, I don't know that I've ever had corns, and I'm not sure why there were so many practitioners of corn cutting, but there you go. And he's got his shoe off. And we see tie shoes. This is the 17th century when buckles aren't popular. We see somebody working in the background in a storehouse kind of a thing there. And then the woman here at the table watching, that little bowl is a little brazier bowl. She's got hot coals in it. And I don't know what she's doing. They would use those often to light pipes, but there are no pipes in the scene. So I don't know whether she's heating something to sort of cauterize the thing or whether she's just heating up some snacks, whatever. You can see a scalpel on the tabletop also. And this guy at least doesn't seem to be too much in pain.
That idea is so strange, though. It's like a plumber and electrician now. Like,
yeah.
Be a corn cutter, son. You'll always have work.
That's right. This is Visiting the Sick by Michael Schwartz. This is about 1650. So similar time as the Bone Setter, but this is on the continent, Netherlands. And we have the beautiful painting. All these Dutch 17th century paintings are gorgeous. This seems to be a hospital-like situation. We have in the very background there, wearing the dark outfit and holding his finger up to the air, in the background on the right-hand side, is the doctor himself. He's really, quite backgrounded, and he's talking to this person on the bed, and he's pointing up like, maybe your only hope is God. I don't know. Something like that. It's like, I've done what I can for you. We have the person by the fire, looks like maybe with a toothache or something, hard to say. We've got the old woman here in the mid-ground, and then this foreground, probably just a visitor, but really the light's on him, and they love playing with light, and that his haversack bag is there, and we can really kind of see what the clothing is like.
Yeah.
We know that these are not rich people. So it's hard to see. Is there another slide after this one that's
I've never seen this one, though. It's really beautiful.
Right. No, okay, so go back to that one. We were talking about making multiple slides of this. But right by the man's knee, between him and the woman who's sweeping, there's like a dog getting into a cabinet, like trying to steal food. We have people in the background that are coming in, and it's like, boy, guys, I don't know what's going on here. Somebody's playing music.
Yeah.
Anyway,
nice.
I think
I'm sorry, I smacked the table, the music box went off.
I think it's angels in the background. So if we look at that doorway and the light coming through, it's almost like one of those people looks like they're the Grim Reaper or something, right? So I don't know, even though they aren't. I think it's just an impression. And notice the person who's opening the door is pointing in, like, if they were the Grim Reaper, well, what you want's in there, you know? Ugh. So some interesting imagery.
Somebody says, why does that child look like a cardboard cutout?
Because it is a cardboard cutout, because they couldn't let the child in there because it's a hospital and the woman was lonely.
That makes sense.
Now, that was another good business. Selling the cardboard cutouts
Right.
of children.
And off we go.
Hurry.
This again is 1650. So 17th century, we have a doctor here, a woman in the background, bringing in things. And the doctor is talking to a skeletal form, death, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's kind of going on symbolism-wise. We can see he might be messing with some occult here. Some of his books are made to lock up. Now, why do you need to lock your books? Good question. But we see sort of some of the apparatus of physicians in the time period. And there's definitely a division in our time period between surgeons and physicians who work in medicine, and that's the higher end, the ones that are making these concoctions and whatnot. Usually mere surgery is a lower level thing going on here. We have another mere surgeon. This is called shoulder surgery. And this is a copy of an earlier painting. So there was probably one by 10 years from around 1650, 1660, and then this gets copied in the 18th century, more than likely here. But we get an image of a primitive medicine shop. Somebody's doing the surgery there. We see some medicine things on the table. We see an ointment jar. We see a little bag there that probably has some different kinds of drugs. Even a little paper envelope that holds probably powdered medicine. We've got a carafe there with some paper stuffed in it. And we see on the walls we have other medicine and things waiting. He looks like he's probably good at what he's doing. I'm not sure about whatever's on the floor. Don't ask me what's been thrown there on the floor. The person does look in a little bit of pain there, but it's not too bad.
What do you think's in the crux?
Well, probably some medicine that's aging, as we say.
Percolating.
It's got to percolate. Some of those ones is like, well, you set this aside for 3 months, 6 months, then it'll be ready to use. This is Steen, and from somewhere between 1660 and 1666. It's called The Sick Woman. And there's people have different ideas about what's going on here. Maybe she's lovesick, or she doesn't really look that sick. And by the way the man's dressed, some interpreters see this as possibly that he's a quack because he's not dressed as an official doctor. So doctors have particular kinds of robes, and this person's like, maybe a little fly-by-night. There's a lute on the wall, which is sort of classic, woman's instrument of the time period, and it kind of speaks to that lovesick idea here. There is some thought that what's going on the floor there with the little heating box and the little vial that's there, that possibly there's some true or not so true pregnancy test going on there, but that's a complete, people are just guessing on that one. And on the right hand side, Lauren just saw the clock on the wall, thought it was fun. It kind of got cropped out, so she put that up a little closer so we could see the clock on the wall. So
I like your blue shoes.
Yeah, isn't it funny that the blue, and I wonder if that's smalt blue. Notice the blue is the same. There's a little tiny thread that's on the box. There's the band, the ribbon that goes around her hat. There's her shoes, and then there's the tapestry. And it's like the guy only had one blue.
Right.
It's like, well, we just use the same blue everywhere. Now this woman, she doesn't look so good. This one's titled The Anemic Lady. from 1660 to 1680, somewhere in that point. Now, this is probably more like a real doctor with his real doctor robes. He is inspecting a vial with urine in it, because that's one of the big diagnoses. How are we going to figure out what this is? There is classic in this time period, 17th century Dutch painting. She's got that little heater that's underneath her foot. It's got little coals in that box, because it can be cold in the house. There isn't a nice, fireplace right here. So how are we going to stay warm? We got our little personal space heater, basically. You can see this is not necessarily a bed chamber, but sometimes you would have beds in the main room of the house. So there's a bed right behind them, and that great picture of the cat who's looking right at the painter.
Right at Mr. Biggs, if he's watching.
Right, it's Mr. Biggs watching the live stream. This person is taking care of their own wound. So this is possibly late 17th century, early 18th century. And some people definitely have to take care of their own wounds. So we can see he's got kind of a sock thing. I don't know whether that's really a sock or not, or what's left of his sock, but he's got some sort of medicine underneath there. We even see there's a little medicine file there. We have ones real similar to that on the website, little blue ones. So some people, they got to take care of their own self. Now, we go from the lowest level of medicine, do-it-yourself medicine, to the highest level of medicine. Here, the superintendents of the Collegium Medicum in Amsterdam, the 1680s, and they're studying. They're probably transferring to having notes between each other. Notice they're all dressed very similarly, at least all the ones that are doctors. And then we have other people coming in. On the one side, person's coming in, he probably has some special herb to sell them, or have them try out. I don't know what you do. Somebody brings you a new herb. It's like, well, I wonder what this cures. Well, I don't know. We're just going to find a whole bunch of sick people.
Let's try it out.
Start trying it out.
We'll find out what it cures.
Yeah, we'll figure it out one way or the other. Right?
Turns out it cures nothing.
Well,
now we know.
So it's possibly their big herbals that they're filling in there and talking about it. Then we even have the other gentleman on the far side, sort of maybe a servant-looking person there. He's got some sort of another plant that he's bringing in, and the man on the extreme right with some sort of press or some other piece of equipment. He looks like an apprentice almost.
Oh, Speed and Style Tony says, gathering to decide the new flavor of oatmeal.
Yeah.
Well, they do look a bit like Quaker oatmeal people, don't they? And they even have a dog. I mean, it can't be going wrong there. This painting is called the Profligate Punished by Neglect. So this is, apparently possibly a father who hasn't been good to his children, and this is the daughter here who's paying attention to a suitor instead of the sick father, and she's pouring hot water on him by accident. He's likely has gout. He's got his leg up like that. One of his shoes is down at the heel, maybe because he can't fit his foot in it. So there's issues there. He's all white in the face, and he's not looking good. He's wearing his tricorn hat, but it looks like he has a cap on instead of his wig, because of course he doesn't feel well enough. We even see the boy in the background. I don't know. He's got some. I looked close in the painting. It's hard to see exactly what he has. A twist of cloth or something. Don't know what's going on there, but a great little painting. Now this next one might be a little gruesome, so I'll warn you. You can close your eyes now, and then you can open them back up when we get done with this slide.
Do a countdown. 5, 4, 3.
And go. This is Rowlandson, and he does lots of just hilarious, cartoony kind of pictures. And this is a group of 6 surgeons and doctors surrounding a terrified man as he's having his leg amputated. And, you know, they're just sawing away at that. We see all the tools there, sort of just willy-nilly, you know, thrown on the ground. They really were not, they did not have a real good clue about washing their instruments or anything like that. The fact that you just sort of drop them on the ground doesn't really, you know, surprise anybody.
They just got finished sawing through a tree with that. So.
That's right, exactly. I mean, look at the teeth on that too. And we have the man on the extreme left there. He's got the future crutch waiting, and of course a capital knife for doing the flesh work there. And we see the glasses, very, you know, typical here. Everybody, notice how everyone looks calm and collected, except of course the person who's being held down.
I like the fellow just whispering in his ear, like,
well,
really there.
If you look closely, he's hugging him.
Oh, okay.
Chair. Now, most of the time, they would strap people down. See, his leg is tied down.
Yes.
On his free leg, that is, and you know they would strap him to a chair so that he wouldn't, you know, go jumping around or anything like that. Many times they would give him something to bite on. In this case, not so lucky.
There's those skeletons in the background.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Is that see on the left?
Yeah, what is that?
I think it's
a corpse, a cadaver. Well, you got to practice on something, apparently. So
we don't.
Oh, I'm
yeah.
above that
Right.
on the left.
now
yeah.
you can open your eyes. Well, maybe you want to keep them closed for just a minute. There were a lot of quack medicine people, and they were testing out new ideas all the time. And so one of these is this treatments of just like super vomits, right? It's like, how are we gonna, let's give them some medicine that'll just make them just vomit like crazy. And maybe that'll cure them. Well, it'll make you never want to go back to the doctor again. So that's what's going on the left there. On the right, they have patent medicines are definitely a thing going on. And we have some Daffy's Elixirs. Daffy's Elixir bottles.
Like
here.
the duck.
Well, yeah. I mean, he
Like
would
the
make
quacker.
He would make a good quack. Get it? You can. I got a piece I need to read.
Oh yeah.
So here's a couple advertisements for Daffy's Elixir. Really, this one is more about his competitors and copiers. Daffy's, and this is from 1690s. Daffy's original Elixir Salutis, vindicated against all counterfeits and etc. Or an advertisement by me, Anthony Daffy of London, citizen and student of physic, by way of vindication of my famous and generally approved cordial drink called Elixir Salutis, from the notorious false suggestions of one Thomas Witherenden of Bearstead in the country of Kent, gentlemen as pretended, Jane White, Robert Brooke, apothecary, and Edward Willett, all new upstart counterfeiters of my elixir and ape-like imitators of my long since printed books and directions, some of them nigh verbatim or word for word, and that to the jeopardy of many good but misinformed people's health and lives too, as also from false pretensions of other more sneaking club quacks, not yet licked into form, but remaining moon-blind brats, still in swaddling clouts. I mean the numerous crew of libelous pamphleteers, which are, if possible, more dangerous counterfeiters of my elixir, an advertisement by me, Anthony Daffy. And then later on, Daffy's original famous Elixir Salutis, the choice drink of health, or health-bringing drink, being a famous cordial drink found out by the providence of the Almighty and, for above 20 years, experienced by himself and diverse persons whose names are at most of their desires here inserted, a most excellent preservative of mankind, a secret far beyond any medicament yet known, and is found so agreeable to nature that it affects all its operations as nature would have it, and as a virtual expedient proposed by her for reducing all her extremes unto an equal temper, the same being fitted unto all ages, sexes, complexions, and constitutions, and highly fortified nature against all noxious humors, invading or offending the noble parts. Never published by any but Anthony Daffy. So, gotta need some Daffy's Elixir. You want to jump in, Ryan?
Daffy had some strong words.
He did.
Those strong words.
I can keep going.
No, it's fine. Okay, so Aaron Howard is in Super Chat saying, when historic medicine gets mentioned, we tend to laugh, but I think it's important to remember that they weren't stupid. They did what they could with the knowledge they had, and some hospitals had excellent success rates.
Very true, and we'll see a hospital here in a little bit.
Ashley the Count is in here. I'm late to the party, but I'm glad to be able to be here for the last half of the live. This is such a fascinating topic.
Thank you.
And I'm scrolling for the last one here. Yeah. It'll take a second.
I got it if you don't.
Oh, go for it, Aaron.
Heather Torrey.
Heather.
And there's no comment. Just
Thank you, Heather.
Well, I'm sorry. There's another one still.
Sorry.
Greg Soup Kitchen did another one. Oh, I just got it. Witch hazel, thyme, and lavender I still use as natural antiseptics. Cumin is a great antioxidant.
There we go. Very true.
You ready?
Yeah, let's jump into the last two images real quick. So they get a little more positive as we go through. Here is the doctor he's dismissing death. So he's going to shoot him with this, well, it's a enema gun there. It's called a clister. It's like, wow. But anyway, he's going to blast him and shoot him right back out the window.
That sounds like
Be gone.
a powerful gun.
Yeah. Yep. It's a syringe there. And so we see, the guy's there. He's like, I don't know, holding up the knife like, hey, see you later or whatever.
What's going on in the background there? Is that an instrument in somebody's lap?
No, I think it's a fire, but I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's a pipkin. See, that's a handle of a pipkin going down into a pot on the fire. Yeah, I didn't recognize it until just this second. We got an interesting image with different sorts of medicine jars and things in the background, and again, it's a bed chamber with a large fireplace. And
Next.
And here is finally, this is 1808. This is the hospital in Middlesex, Ackerman's Repository. This is probably just a woman's hospital. But notice this really reminds me of the Spanish hospital video we did.
Yeah.
So the beds are all separate. Notice they're even on wheels, which I thought was very interesting, so you could wheel people around. Big windows, lots of lights, lots of air. We have these interesting things above, and I see, that's what they are. Those are things so you can curtain off the person. So those little, you can see one curtain there on one side.
Yeah.
So you could curtain them off. And they each have their own little shelf for their own medicine. And there's even a fireplace there, and the person's probably drying off some laundry or whatever.
It's interesting to me that there's only one fireplace in that big room.
Well, they weren't so concerned with staying warm as we are. They're used to cold.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking for all the work that they probably have to do at the fire, but
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a big fireplace with, you can see how the coals are really racked up there. So it might put out a lot of heat.
Is this one of those things where, I know in that video they were talking about how ahead of the times they were like keeping everyone that separated.
Right. Well, notice this is 1808, so it's a little bit further into it. And definitely the medicines, it's progressing through our time period a lot. You can go ahead.
Yeah.
And we do have to think, okay, so if we look back on this medicine, 200 years ago, and we like the one person saying, we laugh at that, they did care. And it's likely that 200 years in the future, they will just bust a gut thinking about the medicine that we do currently. So it's always one of those like, there's always progress happening. Let's hope there's always progress happening. So Yep.
So super chat, Aaron Howard says, "What's the cure for tainted brain? The elusive tainted brain."
Well,
No one.
yeah. I thought that was in that we'd have to get out the tradesman's delight.
Yeah, it
for
was
that.
in the Gentleman's
Right,
Companion.
right. But-
Phil.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Phil
No, go
Klum.
ahead.
I've read Abigail and John Adams' daughter, Nabby, underwent a mastectomy for breast cancer and survived the surgery. Her doctor was impressed with how brave she was during the process.
Yeah. No anesthesia. Ooh. So that's some of the Bone Setter. I still had other stuff, but maybe we'll stop on Bone Setter because we're getting close to end of time. I wanted to mention Every Man His Own Physician. So this one is printed in an 18th century fashion like a pamphlet would be in the time period, just sort of tied together. These would be very, very inexpensive books that regular people could purchase. And this one was available for 18 pence. So shilling and a half. Even a lowly worker would be able to work a day, 2 days, and be able to purchase a pamphlet like this and, save him who knows how much. He couldn't afford to go to a real doctor. So this one I think is very, very interesting because it has only, if you look at these other ones, there's like, you got watery eyes. There's 12 different medicines. In this one, he describes each thing, and then there's one remedy. That's it. This'll do it, or maybe you just can't be cured. And don't we all wish medicine was like that? It's like, oh no, we only have one medicine for that. And it's got, just basically everything. Here's lethargy. There's leprosy, a cure for leprosy. Here's a cure for madness. Now, first it has the signs of. So how do I know I have this disease? So madness, a redness of the eyes, grinding of the teeth, strange malice to particular persons, want of sleep, singing in the ears, incredible strength, insensibility of cold, and excessive rage when provoked to anger. And then, of course, the cure is bleeding. Bleeding is useful in this disorder. Take 40 drops of the tincture of black hellebore 2 or 3 times a day. That's all they had for us there. If we have quinsy or sore throat, and we talked about this way back in the current episode that we did a couple different ones on black currants. Quinsy, a swelling of the parts concerned with decludiation, swallowing, accompanied with great pain, inflammation, and a fever, so as to hinder the swallowing any solid meats, foods. It's hard to read there, and almost stops breathing, so your throat swells up. And here, bleeding is sometimes necessary, and cooling physic, but often a jelly of black currants swallowed down leisurely in small quantities affects a cure. Well, I think people still swear by black currant jelly. And there's a whole page here on bleeding. It's like, bleeding is good for a lot of things, but there's a time to stop. There's also bleeding you do for certain things, but if you seem to, lack blood or you're anemic, then don't do that, which I think is probably wise advice. And what have we got here finally? Here's a recipe for Daffy's Elixir. Now, this is probably a counterfeit Daffy's Elixir, not the real thing, but
Right.
You do what you can. Take raisins, stoned, 4 ounces, senna, 3 ounces, caraway seeds bruised, 1 ounce. Steep these ingredients in a quart of brandy for 3 weeks or a month. Then strain it off to use. Keep it in a bottle, close stopped. Well, I think the brandy's doing most of the job
That
there.
doesn't sound so special.
Just like that was special. Huh? You guys, you should, don't just pass that recipe out to anyone. It's as good as gold.
I'll take a Z-Pack any day.
Yum.
Super chat, we have John Talley. Can you recommend a good book about herbal remedies in the 18th century?
You want Culpeper's book on herbal medicine, and that is used from, I think it's pretty early. It's at least 17th century, if not late 16th century. Culpeper goes through and talks about a lot of them now. Some of that's based on the planets and, the cool, hot thing, which, you even saw in some of these. But Culpeper's herbal is one of those ones that continues to be referenced. Well, into the 21st century as far as that goes.
John Talley had another one that says, has bleeding been validated by modern science?
There are some things that are helped with phlebotomy. So yes, maybe not as many things as they thought, but hemochromatosis, I think, which is like a buildup of iron in the blood. Men have that kind of problem, so yeah.
And then we've got Grog Soup Kitchen Phillips again. Would the coals from the fire be used in bed warming pans?
Could very well do that. They may have filled braziers up with them, just have braziers around the room when it's really cold, all kinds of different circumstances where you might use that.
Let's talk about that cap one more time.
One more time. So if you're interested in, a lot of people support us through Patreon and whatnot. Sometimes it's cool to have something that you can kind of wear your support around. You never know. You might be wearing this hat and somebody's like, oh, I know exactly what that is all about. Sort of an inside joke, but a Nutmeg Tavern hat. They're all in this navy blue color, 6-panel hat with an actual real leather patch on the front with the Nutmeg Tavern branded into it. Yeah. And they're adjustable in the back with the, so you can make it any size you want in case you have a giant big head or a tiny little one.
We're gonna have some folks looking sharp out there. I'm excited about
I've
this.
been wearing mine for the last 2 or 3 days and I've been getting a lot of good comments on it.
Yeah. That's a wrap.
Wow. That's just scratching the surface. Trying to think of a medical analogy. Just scratching the surface of medicine in the 17th and 18th century. It is a fascinating topic. We've had several guests on in the past with medical things. You can look at those on the website and find those, or on YouTube, whatever. And hopefully we'll get a chance to do some more interviews with more folks with medical knowledge. It's always great. And there's a lot of research been done on it, and it's truly fascinating. It's one of the important parts of our lives. So super thank you to all you Patreon folks, Townsends Plus people, PayPal people, and merch. Also, if you are a member on YouTube, thank you again for that. And there's so many people that help us out in so many different ways. And truly, one of the best ways you can help us out is by sharing our videos with other people. That's how people really find us. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, Ryan, in the background there. And thank you, Aaron, on the other side of the time vortex. I hope you have an amazing weekend, because, the weekend, it's right now. Thanks for watching.